Good afternoon, Angela.
Good afternoon.
We are talking about one of our favorite topics today. Basically, if you are someone who feels like they've been eating perfectly, but feels stuck in how your clothes are feeling or what's actually showing up if you do step on a scale, then today's going to be really important for you because we're going to talk through red light therapy, what it is, how it works, and how we help people just like that really bust through plateaus and begin to make changes at a lot of different stages and phases of life, because we see people all over the place. Sometimes it's the mother who just had kids not long ago.
That's right.
Sometimes it's the perimenopause or menopausal woman who's just feeling all the shifts and changes.
Mm-hmm. And I would also say men who are also feeling hormonal changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as we are digging into this, let's go through because we've had a fair amount of podcasts and videos where we've talked about red light, but let's just kind of recap and give a basic overview of what is red light,
Yes.
what's it doing, and specifically in our office, what are we primarily using it for?
Exactly. So if you have been all out, you're exercising, you're eating right, you're doing all the things, right? You're taking supplements, you're doing everything, and you see absolutely nothing. Red light therapy could definitely be it is the missing link. And we're going to talk about why. Why is it the missing link?
Yeah. So, what is red light? So it's a
You sprung that on me. I know what it does. That it's funny when you say, what is red light?
yeah. So
It's far and near infrared wavelengths.
yeah, it's wavelengths that, depending on the frequency of those wavelengths,
That's right.
has multiple different
Prescriptions.
functions.
It
And
totally does.
the unit that we have is definitely professional grade, not something you're getting on Amazon.
That's right.
And it comes with basically 4 different settings.
That's right.
Each of them are displaying red light, but the frequency and the focus of those frequencies
And nanometers.
it changes. And so we're looking at skin tightening
That's
and fat loss.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at circulation, pain and inflammation.
That's
and then what's the 4th one?
Recovery.
Recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So walk us through what it's doing.
So for each modality or for each prescription, it's going to be doing something a little bit differently. So I'll talk about mitochondrial like liberation of toxicity from the fat cells. So when we're using it for fat loss, it's going to penetrate the skin 8 to 12 millimeters deep, go to the mitochondria of the fat cell, heat up and liquefy all the contents in the cell. Toxins, triglycerides, cholesterol, those cells expand and become porous. It's called transpository diffusion. And the cell wall becomes permeable. So for 72 hours after every treatment, you're leaking over toxins, triglycerides, and cholesterol into interstitial spaces of the body, excreting them through urine, sweat, and bowel movement. The lymph system's going to pick that up. That's going to shunt itself into the liver. The liver packages it all up nicely, neatly, and sends it to the toilet. And people are always asking, one question is, and I don't know how, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, is can I lose weight and tighten my skin at the same time? And that's what the beauty in red light is. We were just talking about fibroblast activation, which are specialized cells in the connective tissue. They're the builders that produce elastin, collagen, an extracellular matrix, which is going to help with skin firmness, sculpting, toning, tightening, among other variables when we get into more the healing modalities.
Yeah. So I would say primarily what we're using it with a majority of our patients is more skin tightening and fat loss. And so the red light is not destroying fat cells. It's not melting them. It's getting your body to open up and release what's inside of those.
That's right. And I call it liberation. It really is the only technology that we know to date that has the ability to do this, which is incredible. And that reminds what you said is reminding me of something, and I totally just lost it.
Yeah. So if you have questions on the difference between red light and say cool sculpting or other types of
Thank you.
fat reduction techniques, we've done a couple other podcasts. We've got some amazing blog posts on our website that walks through the differences between red light and cool sculpting or some of the other therapies out there.
That's right.
In this space. And, we have some pretty good reasons why we really are into red light versus some of those other modalities.
That's right.
Primarily because we've seen what those have done, and people are coming to us after that because they need our help in correcting that.
That's right. And what you said the tissue, and that's what it was. You said we're not destroying any tissue, and there's many reasons why that's important. Our fat cells were actually created to absorb toxic material, so they're actually there to keep us safe and healthy and alive. So making sure that those cells and that tissue stays intact in the event there was a reason for the body to need to collect toxic material, it doesn't cause a dysymmetry. So we don't lose symmetry. Some of the other things that we've seen with some of the other modalities, unfortunately, can create a very dysmorphic type of look.
Got it. And so let's walk through kind of a classic example of who's coming in for it, and then the results that we have seen recently with some of these. So let's go through the kind of three major focus. First one would be fat loss and skin tightening. Next would be kind of circulation. And then the last one would be the pain and recovery. I'm kind of grouping those two together. Different functions, but primarily it's the same type of people who are looking at pain reduction and or recovery because they're either exercising a lot or they've got a chronic inflammatory condition.
Connective tissue disorder, exactly, because it can really help tendons and joints and that pain modality, what we were talking about before. We've seen some pretty incredible.
So we said that primarily people are coming in with for fat reduction, skin tightening, weight loss.
Yes.
And so give us, the classic example of what that person is feeling coming in and ultimately what our goals are with that.
Yeah, that person most of those people have come in and have really exhausted every option. They really have. They've done it all. They've tried it all, everything. You'll hear it. I've been on Jenny Craig. I've been on Weight Watchers. I did medical weight loss. I tried cool sculpting. I'm in the gym 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Right? Literally, they really are. And they're doing everything, and nothing's working. Nothing's budging. Nothing they're doing is helping move that needle.
They're frustrated.
They are frustrated. They believe that they don't have the ability to change.
Skeptical.
Very skeptical. Who wouldn't be skeptical at that point?
Sure.
Right? They're putting all the work in and nothing's coming out. So, yeah.
And those types of people are normally the kind of perimenopause.
Oh,
They have been through putting everyone else first,
mm,
and now they're ready to start to make some changes in their own health, and they're frustrated because it all the same stuff is not working like it used to.
that's right. What was working before does not work anymore.
So walk us through that kind of perimenopause, menopausal, like
Mm-hmm.
how is red light and everything else we're doing in the office supporting that person differently than,
Right.
because we see it all the time. They have tried everything else. They're coming in.
Right. And this is a good conversation because this is not a magic wand, and it does require synergistic supplementation to actually come alongside to actually facilitate the mobilization and emulsification of fat at an accelerated rate. So we've got to go to the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, or the top, right? Or you go to the top, you look downstream, go to the bottom, look upstream. We've got to make sure that we're addressing what is keeping them stuck in the first place, right? So usually when we're talking about perimenopause, we need to unhook certain neurological loops that are running that we don't have any control over once we get here, right? Because that downward trend of estrogen is going to elevate adrenaline, because it's going to freak the body out, because the body wants to do what the body has always done, and it can't do that anymore. And the influx of adrenaline and cortisol is quite incredible when you measure that, and we see labs that come back, and it's very clear. And what's less talked about is that the
So it's
part
not just estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone.
no,
Those are
those are
the
left.
tip of the iceberg.
It's the tip of the iceberg, right? And that downward cascade is a whole nother podcast, and we'll talk about that. But for now, I want to make sure that I'm, staying on point and just saying that that adrenaline and cortisol cannot be initiated in the system without insulin, and insulin's a storage hormone. So even while using red light, right, which is awesome, it's gonna mitochondrial release all of that garbage, right, from your cell. It's going to do the draining. But if we have that biochemical rhythm of adrenaline and insulin, it's still going to be hard on the body to release. So coming underneath and undergirding that and giving support where support needs to be given to disrupt the pattern of that looping is really what's allowing most of our women in perimenopause to inhale and be able to exhale, and for the body to exhale and that loop to stop. So we come alongside and use supplementation so we can finally not just lose inches, but actually start losing weight.
Got it. So we're primarily using red light,
Mm-hmm.
supplementing with that with couple options of
Sure, we have quite a few
of
options.
ways of also addressing the hormonal and lifestyle and nutritional components.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and this is something else that we've done a lot of preaching on and podcasts and videos and blogs on, is like, we're not the place that you're just going to come into and we're going to tell you that you can just lay on the red lights and the fat's just going to fall off and you can just continue to do all the other crap that you're doing.
Right.
Like, there's some other changes that we coach you through and accompany, which ironically is often a lot less intense than what somebody's coming in already doing.
It's so real. And I want to address that. Two things, really, because what I see over and over again is ready. Number one, they're not eating enough to actually heal their metabolism, right? So we've got metabolic syndrome, right? It's crazy. The other thing is the exercise, right? Depending on, what phase or season of your life you're in, that starts to look different also, because going beast mode in the gym when we were laying it out all on the floor, like in our 20s and our 30s, things change in our 40s and 50s and 60s. And we're not actually responding favorably to any sympathetic dominant nervous system, exercise. We're
At least
actually
all the
all
time.
the time, because we're exactly causing dysregulation, exactly, and getting that exercise a little adaptogenic,
Hmm.
that's really functional,
Hmm.
actually.
Hmm.
So not all the time. So sometimes we're hitting it too hard, and that's backfiring on the body. And yeah.
And often, what I believe is one of our superpowers in this program is honestly the coaching and accountability that
Mm.
you provide, because also these types of people are coming in and they're beating themselves up emotionally. They're
Yes.
beating themselves up physically with like these crazy high intense workouts, not eating, stressed
Yes.
out.
Yes.
But then they're also beating themselves up emotionally and psychologically because what was working before it isn't, and they're not wanting to be in the family photos. They're
Yeah.
not wanting to engage in going out because they're not comfortable in how they're looking and feeling.
That's right.
And so that's an important aspect that we also address because it needs to be
It
addressed.
does. I call it the shame storm, right? And the shame storm has a really vicious cycle to it. And the first thing that I really love to um, have people understand is that I say, this is not on you. Like, this is biochemical chaos at its best. And it's time for intervention, right? Because you like going out there and hardballing it and trying to get it done. It's and it's just backfiring, right? So and at that point, no longer is that on you, and no longer will those things that you've been doing serve you anymore, because the modality that you need is something much deeper.
So, um, someone in that category, um, what results are they typically seeing? Like honestly, within the first a couple sessions, we want them noticing
Oh,
changes. But there's going to be ups and downs throughout the program. But within 4 to 8 weeks, um, some people have been coming in and they've been trying this up and down for 4 to 8 years, and in 4 to 8 weeks, we're seeing some really significant, amazing changes.
you will hear over and over again in our practice. You can hear it. You hear people's laughter in the back when we're going over scans, because one of the things they say every time is like, oh my gosh, like what I have done here in the first 2 weeks, I haven't been able to do on my own. And I've been trying for the last 4 years. So what we can accomplish. And that's very motivating, because here's the deal is it's like, make me a believer, right? It Because at that, I just need to know that my body has the ability and the capacity and the inner knowing that it can actually start to transform and change, because I've lost faith in my body's ability to be able to do that, which is a whole nother conversation. But it's really important to us that people are seeing, even in the first 2 to 3, to 4 days, I would say, starting to see that momentum where we're really starting to shed those layers, that we're really starting to see, the weight come off, the inches come off, all of it.
And we can start to get a pretty good idea. So in our consultation process, um, we use a 3D body scanner throughout someone's program. But that first consultation, we're taking a pre-measurement, so a pre-scan.
Mhm.
We'll put them on the lights and vibration plate, and then we'll do a post-scan. And honestly, based on um, the results and response after just one session, you're already having that conversation with them of, here's how we're seeing your body respond. Here's how we anticipate we're going to see a slight change, a slight increase before we see a reduction here. We're going to see higher reductions in this area, and we can start to spot treatments.
That's right.
But we can also like really confidently begin to tell someone these are the expectations of what we expect to see. And
That's right.
I mean, sometimes they don't believe us. Sometimes they think that we're using AI to like
really happened.
change the image that they just took right in front of them.
They're so surprised.
But they're so surprised at the results that have changed after,
just 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yes.
That, we're cheating somehow. We're not. It's amazing. It's the technology. So
that's right.
So that's one case, right? The type of person who is coming in for that. We've gotten some really good, interesting results lately with some people with more of the chronic pain and connective tissue. And so walk us through what that person is really kind of coming in like and what they're getting on the back end.
Mm-hmm. Those patients are coming in for relief from chronic pain, right? And we see this with connective tissue disorders. We see this with fibromyalgia. We see this with people who have high C-reactive protein, lots of inflammation. And just what's incredible is even doing labs before and after, you can see those C-reactive proteins start to come down. So just like we were talking about, I don't know if we did talk about the fibroblasts, but did we talk about the fibroblasts? So the fibroblasts, that's what's responsible for actually helping to rehabilitate connective tissue, tendons, joints, and things like that.
Reducing the inflammation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we've had great results. A patient who just finished this week, he's got a genetic connective tissue disorders, disorder that he's had forever. And we've treated really well chiropractically. But he also wanted to try the red light for a handful of reasons. Energy was one of them. And so walk us through his results as far as pain management, but also some of the energy factors that he's noticed.
So night and day difference as far as the level of pain he was in when he walked in, and while utilizing red light, it's a significant 75% decrease in the type of pain that he's feeling. So,
and that's after 4 weeks.
That's after 4 weeks.
Yep. So. And then I know we're also working with this individual hormonally because just fatigue and energy was just in the drain.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the changes that he is seeing in that is more in reaction to some of the supplementation, or the red lights, or really just the combo of feeling better equates to having a little bit more energy and the lights?
Yes, and I'm gonna. This is one of those cases where the synergy is so important because it's coming from both places, right? So yes, addressing supplementation, addressing hormone balancing. But the one thing that I cannot do for him that the red light can do for him is address the gynecomastia, right? So because the fluctuation of hormones were so out of control, right, we can sometimes see that T is low, estrogen's up, right? And we can
explain what that is, because most people don't know what that is.
So what that is in males, it's visible fat pockets, if you will, in the chest, right? So where things don't look tight and toned, they actually it looks like breast tissue. It like female breast tissue. So we've been very successful with red light therapy, enhancing the lean body mass and actually decreasing excess estrogens in the cell. because it's going to release those things.
Which, if you're in that camp, I mean, that's a major life change.
Yes.
Right? Like, you want to talk about confidence booster of, looking in the mirror feeling like, I'm a male who's, reaching retirement. I want to be able to enjoy life, and I'm, definitely not happy with the way I'm looking,
Right.
feeling. It's that I got to this point so that I could enjoy life now, and that's not happening. But I mean, you want to talk about a major life change. That's it right there. And then the last one is the circulation. What have we used red light circulation wise?
I would say for the modality, we have been very successful using it with things like neuropathy. So that's one of the modalities that is circulation is really good for,
Big
right?
time.
Any type of vascular care. People are always asking, will it get rid of my varicose veins? And while it may not completely get rid of them, but it will definitely address some of that. I like that modality for lymphatic drainage. So if you have
Lymphedema.
Yes. And things like
and
that.
Circulation
I really
issues and with as a result of sometimes it's cancers and surgeries.
Yep.
Post chemo.
That's right.
Post radiation. We've seen really significant changes in the lymph circulation. All of that. Sometimes we'll combine our cold laser with that or some other therapies, but that's a really big factor. One question that I know we get a lot, and I want to make sure we address it because it covers kind of all three of those categories of types of issues that we normally see, is this result going to last? So when you're sitting with somebody, how do you frame that?
So depending on what you're coming in for, I always make it clear. So people who have things like connective tissue disorders, we want to look long term and say, this is going to be a part of your life, right? Red light therapy is just going to be a part of your life. You're going to bake it in because it's what's making you feel better. So we, look into wellness, trying to make sure that that, initially, to get things moving, right? We can, see you for 8 to 16 visits. And then, I want you in here twice a month, forever, really, right? Depending on what they're coming in for. So in that case, right? When we're looking more in a case where we're really trying to push out toxic material, we were talking about radiation, when we're trying to push things out of the system, that we want to see more consecutively. I want to see you twice a week over
more
the
intensely
next
upfront,
3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then let's see what kind of a clearing we can get. And then let's see what we need, right, as far as moving on. For our weight liberation, we initially need to get things moving. We need to create a momentum, right? Because one treatment gets you 72 hours of lymphatic drainage, which means 2 treatments a week is getting you 6 out of 7 days of lymphatic drainage. When you start when you start the consistency in that and rolling that out, that's what's translating to weight loss. So, I want to see you twice a week over 8 weeks for that initial 30-pound weight loss. And then, we'll go from there. We'll talk from there. It depends on, do I have 10 to 15 pounds to lose? Do I have 20 to 30? Do I have 50 to 100? It's different depending on, what you're coming in with.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the GLP-1s because they have played kind of a different type of role with those patients who are coming in for weight loss and skin tightening. Sometimes people are coming in after they've lost
Mm-hmm.
a lot of weight and they just have a lot of excess skin.
That's right.
We're looking to tighten up around the belly, the breasts, the arms,
Yes.
we can do a really amazing job at spot treating where we're seeing the biggest changes in skin. So sometimes they've had really good success with the GLP-1s, but now they've got this excess
Mm-hmm.
sagging in skin. Other times, we have people who are coming in and they've either stalled, they did not respond well, or they just hear, here's some of these side effects that that is out there, and I just want to do it in a way that's not involving drugs or surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about the GLP-1s and kind of how those fit in what we're doing for those people who can't or are looking for something a little different.
Sure. Okay. I do want to say too, and we've also supported people while they are on their GLP-1s because they start to muscle waste. And when you start to muscle waste, that means that your body is literally eating into its own muscle for protein, right? And when your body does that, it comes at the cost of your metabolism because all of your metabolism is really housed in your muscle fiber. So when you start to strip away lean body mass, you're starting to downregulate your metabolism, right? So the people I have had people who come in, they're on them, and then we work to actually enhance their lean body mass, which actually that's what the recovery mode of the prescription does on the red light therapy is it enhances lean body mass while still decreasing body fat, which is pretty excellent. So we've been pretty successful. I've also had to help people transition off. Which means that, their doctor will no longer prescribe them. They've met their goal weight. But what's happening now is they're starting to rebound weight gain as a result of everything I just said, right? Because now your metabolism is a little bit broken because you can only handle this amount of calories, right? And your body becomes conditioned to require less and less and less. And then, like I said, we're not fired up anymore, right, with that lean body mass. So we work to transition off so there is no major rebound weight gain. And then for our other patients who know someone who has had adverse side effects, and we've definitely seen that before, right? Outside of it made me puke, it gave me a headache, or my stomach was just sick all the time. We've got pancreatitis. Like there's a couple of other things going on. I've got nodules on my thyroid. So things like that. We're just looking for another alternative because I did not respond favorably to them. So we have answers to that, right? And we have lots of research and lots of study over a lot of different supplements that we can start to utilize that are even more effective than the GLP-1s actually are without any of those side effects. We're just in it to support all the pathways of elimination.
Especially when you start stacking some of those things.
Oh, yes.
And it's also not a situation where, okay, here's 80 supplements that you need to take every single day.
That's right.
That's also not sustainable for most people, especially I don't like doing that.
I know.
But we can, there are a couple key factors that we can add to what we're already doing.
We can stimulate GLP-1 receptors. Like we have access to things that are pretty potent and still it quiet down all the food noise. It's still going to quiet all the food noise for you. It's going to be just as effective. And here's the other thing. We're not going to have to become reliant on those things either.
Mm-hmm. So what do we want to really say to the person who's kind of in some of these categories and they're just like, you know what, I feel like I have already tried everything. we kind of talked about this at the beginning, where it's like oftentimes that's where when people are coming in, or they see us online and they're like, well, I'll try one more thing. Walk us through that conversation, and then really how are people getting started?
Because they're really at a place where all of the influx of all of those limiting beliefs and all the reinforcement from it can't, it hasn't, just do one session. Look at your scan. Like literally look at your scan. And you can see the body actually wants to liberate all of those limiting beliefs, and it wants to be back to a state of alignment and congruency, like with you, so you can do and enjoy all the things you want to enjoy. So you can take pictures, right, at Thanksgiving and at Christmas and feel confident in your body, right? And it is worth the power of one more.
I love that. So if you're ready, if any of this has spoken to you and you are interested in exploring this a little bit more deeply, basically our signature offer is a $79 consultation where you get to sit down with Angela for 90 minutes, work through a lot of this and what you've already done or haven't done, do the 20 minutes red light and the VibePlate and the before and after scans, and really get an idea of where you're at. We block out that much time because we want to be the people who you walk away and say, wow, I really feel like they listened. And we're also not the place that here's the cookie cutter, approach to, everybody fits inside this box, because that's not real life. And so you're going to come in and be heard. You're going to walk away with an actually a customized plan based on exactly where you're at, and and fitting into a budget that's realistic for you and where you're at. So if that's you, check us out. There's a million ways to engage with us. Call the office. You can schedule right online. So encourage you to do that, because there is a lot of power in one more. There's a lot of power in not waiting until everything just magically lines up and then I'll start taking care of my health, because unfortunately for a lot of people by then there's a lot less options. And so don't continue to put it off. Take some accountability and some action, and use this as your sign to get started.
Absolutely. Sometimes the most selfless thing you can do is to be selfish.